Hi, I'm Matt Pierce. I'm one of the R&D Tax Specialists here within Shorts. I'm one of the managers with the Radius team.
Hi, I'm Shannon Wilson. I'm an R&D Tax Specialist working within the Radius team at Shorts Accountants. R&D Tax is a specialist area within accountancy practices. As with all accountancy practices, it has its guidelines and requirements on which the claim must be derived.
An R&D Tax Specialist will understand these guidelines and be able to better advise you on qualifying costs and projects. It is important to engage with an R&D Tax Advisor at some point throughout the claim process.
This can be on a consultancy basis, guiding you through the claim process and reviewing any claim documentation, or it can be a higher level of support managing the claim on behalf of the company.
As with all areas of tax, it is important that the company receives good, timely advice. The Radius team here at Shores work on the methodology of we do it right. This includes our communication with the client during the claim setup phase, where we are completely open and honest. If we do not feel a project qualifies as R&D for tax purposes, we will let the client know and advise them not to complete a claim.
Advisors not providing the correct advice to their clients has been a reason for abuse of the scheme. This abuse has forced HMRC to increase the number of compliance staff to better regulate the R&D tax incentives. This has left many companies facing a lengthy and potentially costly HMRC investigation. The team here at Shorts can provide appropriate advice as with the appropriate people on the team.
Radius is part of an accountancy firm, which allows us to draw upon the wider tax and accounting knowledge base within the firm. Our technical director has spent 33 years within HMRC, the last 6 of which were heading up a team of R&D tax inspectors. I come from a technical background, having spent 12 years within the R&D industry, focused on technical reporting and financial compliance. Our team are qualified tax advisors through the Chartered Institute of Taxation and the Association of Taxation Technicians. We have the right people to give the right advice at the right time. The inquiry rates from HMRC on R&D tax claims will be maintained and likely be increased throughout 2023. This will be supported by the online submission and pre-notification process. This provides HMRC with an effective and efficient way to monitor and review submitted claim documentation, targeting abuse and improving compliance.
Coming into 2023, there is an increase in eligible expenditure. Cloud-based computing costs such as AWS will be eligible for inclusion within a claim. This is great news for companies that develop software and systems in the cloud, where these costs have previously not been eligible despite forming a large part of the development expenditure.
Pure maths will also be eligible for quantum computing and software development. However, there have also been areas where HMRC has reduced eligible expenditure, with non-UK based subcontractors no longer being eligible under the SME scheme.
Recently, there's been a revision in the tax benefit that may be received if a claim is completed. Within the SME scheme, the enhanced deduction has been reduced from 130% down to 86%, and the value of losses that can be cashed in has been reduced from 14.5% to 10%.
This means if you're profit making, the corporation tax saving has been reduced from 25% to 21.5%. This is taking into account next year's increases in the corporation tax rate to 25%. If you are loss making, the cashback that you would receive has reduced from 33% down to 18.6%.
The RDEC rate has increased from 13% to 20%, which has increased the tax benefit from 10.5% to 15%. It is important to engage with a qualified advisor to understand the impact of these changes. The R&D tax credit scheme is not industry specific. It's not just for companies who work out of a lab or conduct white coat development activities. If you are progressing the knowledge or capability within your industry beyond the current state of the art, you may be eligible for R&D tax relief.
This may be improving a process or developing a new material or a tool, improving efficiency or reliability, or reducing time and costs within your business. If your team is thinking outside the box and looking to approach a technical uncertainty in an innovative and novel way, you need to speak with an R&D tax advisor to understand if the project will qualify. The earlier you engage with an advisor, the better.
We can give you the tools you need and will explain what you need to track and capture throughout the project lifecycle. This includes recording costs against the project, understanding at what point the R&D process starts and ends, or making sure you are prepared to answer technical questions pertaining to the project in order to qualify it as R&D for tax purposes. It is always better to approach a claim proactively. There are two different R&D tax relief schemes, the SME and RDEC scheme. SME means small to medium enterprises. You can claim R&D tax relief for SMEs if your company has less than 500 staff, a turnover of under €100 million or a balance sheet total under €86 million.
Within this claim you can include gross salaries, employers' NI, employers' pension contributions, any bonuses to R&D staff. This can be for both direct and indirect activities, where our direct support activity may be an engineer or a technician. An indirect support activity may be someone fulfilling an administrative role or clerical role, supporting the R&D project.
Training required to directly support an R&D project would also be eligible cost under indirect labour costs. You can claim for expenses against R&D activities, but these must have been paid for by the employee and claimed back. They cannot be expenses placed on a company credit card.
Consumables and materials need to be consumed on the project. For example, if you spent £1,000 developing a prototype, the prototype cannot be sold. It has only been utilised to provide a proof of concept specifically within the project. There has been no direct commercial benefit from these costs, and so they would be eligible for R&D tax relief. For software, if you purchase software or require licenses to support an R&D project, these tools would be eligible. For subcontractors, if you do not have the capability or the capacity to complete an aspect of the project in-house, subcontracted R&D that is directly undertaken on behalf of the company is an eligible cost.
For externally provided workers or EPWs, if you utilise agency staff or externally provided workers to support your R&D projects, then these costs are eligible. These may be unconnected, whereby they have come from a third-party staff provider and the contract for that person is with them, or connected where they have been supplied by a connected company within a group, for example.
RDEC stands for Research and Development Enhanced Credits. The eligible costs under RDEC are similar to the SME scheme, whereby you are able to claim labour costs, materials and software. However, you are not able to claim for subcontracted R&D unless they are a qualifying body. These include charities, institutes of higher education such as universities, scientific research organisations or health service bodies, an individual or a partnership of individuals,